1 in 3. That's how many American men will face physical violence, sexual assault, or stalking by an intimate partner. 1 in 3 women worldwide will endure physical or sexual abuse, most often by someone they know. But domestic abuse isn't just bruises. It's manipulation, it's fear, it's control that seeps into every part of your life. I'm Ingrid Dutton, and I survived it. Then I created 1 in 3 so no one else has to suffer in silence. Each week, we break that silence together. Occasionally joined by survivors, loved ones, and experts, we talk about the pain, yes, but also about the healing, resilience, and the fight to reclaim your life. This podcast is more than awareness, it's a lifeline. And a reminder, you are seen, you are heard, you are never alone. Search for 1 in 3 wherever you get your podcasts, because every voice matters and every story deserves to be heard.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Hiya, sister. Hiya, good afternoon, good evening, good morning.
Good Raven.
Good Raven. This is...
Another
Dang it,
situation?
I almost did it again. Yep.
What?
Another situation. How you got on me about this is another situation.
It's like you're trying to be a news, like,
This is channel my
2020.
inner Walter Cronkite, I think.
Dateline 2020.
Anyways, I'm Jessica.
Unsolved Mysteries. I'll continue naming all these until you stop me.
That's Ingrid, and this is another situation.
Yes, Ingrid, the one who drones on and on and on. And on.
I'm getting to the point of just cutting you off now.
Do it. Somebody has to.
So, in case you couldn't tell, this episode is about
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes. So the idea came, there's a movie on Netflix. I don't know if I told you about it. It's called The Pale Blue Eye. And it's made up. It's actually based on a book that someone wrote about Edgar Allan Poe. It's not based in history, but Edgar Allan Poe did go to West Point. But other than that was the only true part.
I didn't know he went to West Point.
There's a lot that I didn't know about Mr. Poe that I'm going to tell you.
Which is surprising because I remember I really liked Edgar Allan Poe growing up, but you were a little bit more obsessed with him than I.
I was, absolutely, yes. And then it turns out I didn't know my husband also has this crazy love for Edgar Allan Poe.
But yet he did not know who Jack London was, which is really disappointing.
Well, no, he did. He knew the book. He just didn't connect 2 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of West Point, do you know Grandpa wanted us to go there?
Yes. We had some relative that was in the government that was going to write a letter for us to go.
All right. He also wanted me to be an archaeologist. Sorry, Gramps. I'm such a disappointment.
I'm just a cardiac nurse practitioner. I'm so sorry.
And a double podcaster now. Woohoo.
Doom.
Okay.
Everyone gets to hear Ingrid's voice. So what? Do you have any corrections, comments, anything you want to add before I jump on in?
There was something. Oh, this is not a correction, but it is a comment. So also on Netflix, the Black Mirror series is back.
Is it really?
It's going to come back. I don't think it's back yet. It's going to come back. What I was thinking of is there's another series that I want to start watching called The Cabinet of Curiosities by Guillermo del Toro. Do you know him?
I do know who he is, yeah.
Which is funny because I never pay attention to producers, directors, writers. I never pay attention to their names unless it's like Steven Spielberg or George Lucas or Cameron, the big guys.
Mm-hmm.
But His name I always remember because I think of our friend Guillermo, hey G, in Orlando. And then Sangre de Toro is the wine that I use when I make my sangria. So that's why I remember his name. But he does like the creepy,
is that where your mind goes to after your dry January?
Yes.
Sangria.
What are my favorite drinks? Anyway, I think I'm going to binge that this weekend.
Sangria?
Why? Now that you mention it, January is over.
Did you see that You is coming out with another season 2?
Oh, good. I love that one.
Yes. There's like the first half is coming out, I think February 5th, and then the second half is coming out March something. So they split it up into 2 parts.
They did that with Ozark.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the last one? Because it was the last season of Ozark that they did that.
Probably. I mean, I don't really know how many other turns you can take.
It should be. I mean, it's kind of the same story. But that actor, I don't know what his name is. He is so good. He's so freaking creepy.
I agree. Totally creepy. Okay. But like if you saw him walking down the street, you wouldn't, I don't know if you'd give me creep vibes. I don't know.
No, not unless you knew. It's almost like one of the, like Ted Bundy. Is he only creepy because you knew what he did? He was never creepy before that.
Right.
Okay. Anyway.
All right.
Once again, I can go on and on and on.
So I will cite my sources. Stop! I will cite my sources. Wikipedia, of course, because Wikipedia. The Smithsonian Magazine is one. Poetry Foundation. There's an article called Once Upon a Midnight Dreary, The Life and Addictions of Edgar Allan Poe, which I got from ncbinlmnih.gov. That was a mouthful. And then the beginning of The Raven, I also got from the Poetry Foundation. So, deep dive into Edgar Allan Poe. He was born January 19th, 1809, same birthday as Dolly and my
how
husband.
Interesting is that? Like just quick side note, we've decided like monthly observances that might happen and monthly occurrences may happen, but we're pretty much going to go with whatever we want to do an episode on. It is all about us after all.
It is.
Maybe we'll try.
What can I talk about for half an hour that would hold my own interest?
Yeah, I think something we could maybe do is maybe have a theme for a month. Like, we're not going to do this because I don't want to do an author, but like we could do authors for a month. And so each episode will be about an author or something like that.
Feel free to weigh in on your opinions on Ingrid's idea.
Yes. Are you talking to me or... Are you talking to me? Am I supposed to weigh in or do you mean others?
No, I'm talking to whoever's listening. Mom.
Oh, okay. Not Dad.
Okay.
Kara, what do you want to hear?
Yeah. What do you want to hear? All right. So he was born January 19th, 1809. He died October 7th, 1849. So Edgar Allan Poe was born to 2 actors. Their names... I actually didn't write down their names. Oh, David Poe and Elizabeth Arnold. However, when Poe was just 18 months, his dad left the house. He left him and his mom, and he ended up dying of tuberculosis. And then about a year after that, before Poe actually turned 3, his mother died of tuberculosis. So he was sent to...
Okay, I'm confused. Did his dad leave because he had tuberculosis?
No, he just left because he was a... Yeah.
He was a dick. Okay. Got it.
Yes. So then Edgar was adopted, or not, he wasn't formally adopted, but he had a foster family with the last name of Allan, which is where Edgar Allan Poe comes from. And they lived in Richmond, and they were a very well-to-do family. The father he financially provided for Poe, but him and his foster mother actually had a really close relationship. So because the Allens were very well-to-do, Edgar got to go to all the best schools in the neighborhood. They even went to live in Europe for 5 years, and he excelled in academics over there. So when they came back, while they were in England or Europe, his foster mother, I can't remember if she developed tuberculosis. I think she did. because it was pretty rampant back then.
So his dad died of tuberculosis. His biological parents both died of tuberculosis. And now this is foster mom?
Yes.
Were there siblings? Did you mention that? Sorry. Siblings?
He had a sister and a brother.
Biological or foster?
Oh, Ingrid, I didn't even cover on that part because I did not care. Let's see. He had, they were Poes. So William Henry Leonard Poe was his brother and Rosalie Mackenzie Poe was his sister.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is why it takes me so long to do my research, is because I go on these little tangents that make no difference.
I am going to touch on his sister a little bit, but they really don't have much to do with the story. Okay. So his foster mother gets sick. They come back to the U.S. They're living in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia again. And so she ends up dying, and Poe's, his heart hurts. As my poetic words decide to come out of my mouth. Anyways, so he gets accepted to the university. Oh no. I wish y'all could see Ingrid's face. She's dying laughing at me. It's not nice. He gets accepted to the University of Virginia, which was a newer college. It was created by Thomas Jefferson, and the students were supposed to police themselves. And there was a lot of drinking, there was gambling, and there was, during that time, Poe actually racked up a lot of debt from the gambling. And so his foster dad's like, you know what? I'm not going to finance you anymore. And so he stopped financing him. And this is when Edgar actually enlisted in the army. And he did pretty well. He made it to the rank of sergeant major, supposedly, which is one of the highest ranks you can get. I don't know how he did that in 4 years, though. It just.
Can I ask a question? Another one?
Sure.
Okay. So when you enlist in the army, is that when you go to West Point?
No. Enlisted is enlisted. Enlisted is like E1 to E9.
That's boot camp, right? Okay.
Yeah. So he had 1 year left in his contract, and he tried to get out of it. And his commanding officer somehow found out how Edgar and his foster dad were not getting along. And the only way, this is so weird, the only way he would allow Edgar to end his contract early with the army is if he made amends with his foster dad.
Since when does the army care about any of you, or not just the army? This isn't a knock on the army. Since when does anyone care?
I don't know. I never read anything more as to why this happened. It was part of Wikipedia too. So that was the portion of Wikipedia that I got. So whether it's valid, I don't know. Anyways, so Edgar reconciled with his foster dad, and then everything was great, and he was able to leave the army a year early. So after that, he is actually the first person in the United States to make a living, although it was a very poor living, but to make a living solely from writing. He was the first one to do that. So after he got out of the army, after he got out of his enlistment in the army, he was trying to make ends meet, and he was just not succeeding. And so then he was able to get an appointment which means that he got a slot in West Point. And so he attended West Point for about a little over a year. And he didn't like all the rules or like everything that, that goes along with being in the military. He did not like it. And so after a little over a year, he purposely disobeyed orders. He didn't go to class. He didn't do anything that he was supposed to. So he would get discharged. And instead of pleading guilty, he pled not guilty. So it would actually go to court martial, I believe.
So did they have the honorably and dishonorably discharged back then? Or is that a newer thing?
I have no idea.
Okay. Sorry.
I am not going into the history of the army.
I'm sorry you are uneducated on this matter.
This is about Poe. I don't know what kind of discharge he got, but it didn't really matter after that because he went and he lived with one of his aunts. And while he was living with his aunt, he fell in love with his cousin. He was 20. I've seen 27 and I saw 26. So he was either 26 or 27. And he married his cousin, Virginia, who was only 13 at the moment. And at the wedding, they actually had someone vouch saying that she was actually 21 when she was only 13. But it sounds super weird and gross. But Edgar was head over heels in love with her. Like she was everything to him.
I remember reading about that a little bit. So did they vouch for her age? Because back then, did they really care about the age? It wasn't a legal thing, right?
No, I didn't think so. So I don't know.
Was it like a publicity stunt?
Maybe so. It didn't. But then,
how Hollywood
they hide that?
Be.
Hide that she's their cousin. She's his cousin. Then,
well,
I mean, I don't know which is more cringy, 13 or cousin. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, so this is so stinking sad. So after they were married for about 11 years, I think Virginia she was 26, so it's 13 years. She dies of tuberculosis. So she contracts it, and then like she had these waves of like 5 years of where she'd get better and then she'd get sick, and she'd get better and then she'd get sick. And actually one of Poe's letters or one of his writings said that she had a blood vessel in her throat that would pop. And it would pop like, because I guess she would just coughing up the blood, I guess, from tuberculosis. And that's how he chose to describe it.
So when was this again? How far into their marriage?
It was about 13 years into their marriage. Okay. She was in her later 20s. So they've been together for quite a while. Okay. So this is a point in time that Edgar Allan Poe actually started drinking. So I don't know if you're familiar with the thoughts that he was like just this debaucherish fool kind of thing that would drink all the time, which is potentially not true. But during this time, he did write that his insanity drove him to drink. And there was a fantastic quote of he was going back. There's a lot of haters back then, and they would like write stuff down, like write a message and submit it to the paper, like Edgar Allan Poe is a drunken who wanders around the world. And then like he would rebuttal with another letter.
That's the precursor to these social media warriors that
exactly
just sit behind a computer and do that.
Yes, but they used to just write it out in letter. So Edgar wrote out in letter, he's like, they tried saying that drinking made him insane. And he's like, no, it was the insanity that led me to drink because he was just so heartbroken over his wife. And if you look back on a lot of his writings, there's loss of a woman or the loss of a loved one is a common theme in a lot of his writings.
Well, plus you said he was really close to his foster mom, correct?
Yes.
Well, so did they?
So she died. Wife died. What?
Did they officially adopt him? Did you say that?
The dad didn't. It didn't say anything on whether or not the foster mom did. I don't know. Okay. I don't think like one.
But he still took their last name.
He took their last name as his middle name.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because they raised him from the time he was 3, and I didn't see anywhere that talked about where his brother and sister went to. So I couldn't tell you if they were older or younger. So I actually bring it up as sister and the drinking part of it, because I kind of did a deep dive into that after I found out that may not be true. So him and his sister both have some inherited kind of thing that you get intoxicated after one drink. So there would be times that Edgar would just slam one drink and then be intoxicated for the whole rest of the night. Like his West Point fellow cadets talked about it. Like he would just drink one drink and be wasted.
Was that similar to like when Schurmeister was telling us that his friend had like lacked an enzyme that would happen?
Yes. Yeah. That's probably exactly what it is. Yeah. So that's why I could see that he would be construed as an alcoholic if just one drink would make him, act that way. But they also said that when he would have that one drink, he would be so passionate and eloquently talking about things that people would just be captivated by him and just sit there and listen. So it's hard to tell what they consider level of intoxication back in the 1800s. So it could be different than what we say now.
See, to me, it's when I have a drink, I can sit and have this conversation. And I think everybody is totally into it, but actually nobody's paying attention to me. I just don't know better.
Well, this actually came from the people around him. He didn't say that about himself. So during this time, after his wife died, he was publishing his own writings, and then he also found a job as an editor. So he would go and he'd edit for newspapers. He had a job there, and that was for 5 years. I think that was part of the time when his wife was having those those bad bouts because he was drinking then. And he actually lost the job as an editor at this newspaper because he was drinking. But the dude hired him again, whatever the top newspaper dude. He hired him again after Poe said that he would not drink anymore. And then also in regards to the drinking, he joined, there was a temperance. Like these people were firm believers that alcohol was the devil and that no one should partake in that. And so towards the end of his life, Edgar actually sided with them, and he said that he didn't
Baptists?
Southern Baptists. But so previously before his death, and this is a part that I found most fascinating, was his death. Before his death, he had cholera, and he actually got engaged to a girl from his childhood, Sarah something. And she was very wealthy. Her mom didn't approve of Edgar. Like no one in her family really approved of him because, he was this poor poet, So he was engaged, and they were living in New York. And so while he was living in New York, he got cholera. And the doctor told him, if you drink again, it's going to be the end. Like, don't drink again. And so that just even more embellished his temperance movement kind of thing. And prior to maybe like 2 weeks prior to his death, he was supposed to go to Philadelphia to edit some woman's, I didn't recognize the name. She may be famous, but I didn't recognize it. So I just glimpsed on over that, to edit her poetry and like the some of her writings that she was doing because he was so good at it. And so he left, and then for some reason, no one seen or heard from him for about a week until on October 2nd in Baltimore, he shows up in front of I saw it called two different names. It was October 4th that he actually showed up, and it was either called Ryan's Tavern or some other kind of tavern. But that night in Baltimore was election night for the sheriff, which comes into play later. So there was a fellow writer that saw this man down in the gutters, disheveled, unkempt, and clothes too big for him. And he goes up to go check and see if he's okay. This is in front of Ryan's Tavern. And then he realizes, he's like, oh my gosh, like this is Edgar Allan Poe. And so he's like, is there anyone I can write to in Baltimore that you know? And so Poe's like, yes, please write to this gentleman named Snodgrass, who was part of the temperance movement as well, but he was also a physician. And so Snodgrass, I don't know why I want to say it like that.
No, because I think is it from Willy Wonka? Schnozberries.
It tastes like schnozberries.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so Snodgrass came and picked up Edgar and took him to the hospital and cared for him until the 7th of October, where Edgar unfortunately passed away. So during this time, he was delirious. He was having hallucinations. He never came competent enough to explain what happened to him and how he ended up in someone else's clothes in the gutter, completely belligerent. And that Mr. Snodgrass, or doctor, whatever, he actually said that he could not smell any alcohol on Poe's breath at all. And so he didn't think it was alcohol induced. They actually said that he died from like swelling of the brain or something like that. So they actually think it might have been encephalopathy or meningitis. However, there is so much controversy around his death. One of the things, okay, so there's 8 common conspiracy theories, I guess, or theories as to what happened to Edgar when he died, just because it's just wrapped, like no one knows where he was for that week. He never made it to Philadelphia, and the first place he turns up is in the gutter. And Edgar liked to dress to the nines. Like he liked to dress nice, and he liked to keep, like he was well kept. He's a well kept man. So one of the things is that they thought he was beat. So one of the people say that he met up with some West Point people and got drunk and then was wandering around Baltimore and got beat up by ruffians. There's also another theory that his soon-to-be fiance's brothers found out that Poe was in Baltimore, tracked him down, beat him up because they didn't want him to marry their sister. Yeah. But like none of the, like there was no wounds talked, like there was no bruising on his face or like bruising on his body that was talked about. It was just talked about his mental capacity and like these hallucinations that he was having. And one of the last day that he was alive, he was yelling out the name Reynolds, which no one can seem to quite like figure out who Reynolds was or what exactly he was referring to.
Ryan?
I mean, if I'm going to yell a name on my deathbed, that would be the one I would think of. So this one, have you ever heard of cooping? Not chickens, but have you ever heard of? I love that I had to specify that.
Like,
have you ever heard of it?
Coup de tying?
No, like cooping, cooping.
No.
Okay, neither had I until this. So apparently, cooping is a practice that they used for two purposes. One, to get people to enlist in the military, and then another to get people to vote for who they wanted to. So the military one, I did take a small little dive in the army, just a small though. And so apparently back in the day, they would they would round up a group of people and keep them in this little room. And they'd keep them there and they would either beat them or they would feed them full of alcohol, and then they'd would have them go enlist in the military.
Oh my goodness.
I know. But then when it comes down to the election part of it, there were gangs that wanted certain officials elected, of course. And so they would round up random people, same thing, in a room. What?
It's like the Hatfield and McCoys, how they would get everybody drunk to go voting, right?
Yeah. So cooping. They would put everyone in this room. They would either beat them or they would get them wasted, and they would send them to the different polling places, and they would actually even change their clothes and change their appearance. And so that's why the cooping theory.
So they could vote more often?
So they could vote more often. Yes. And for the person that they wanted to. And then also, so that's why they think that Poe was in different clothes, right? Because Ryan's Tavern was a polling center for the 4th Ward in Baltimore. And so
Ryan's Tavern?
It's called, I mostly saw it called Ryan's Tavern, but there's one other one that called it something else.
So it totally is Ryan Reynolds. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Poe saw into the future.
Canadians.
And then, so that's why they think he was in different clothes. And then another funny fact that I saw is that after you vote, you would get like a little pint of liquor after you voted, as like, instead of a sticker, they used to give you alcohol back in the day.
Let's bring that back.
Right? I know. And then, so they think that's another reason why cooping might have been the problem, because if he went to all these different polling centers and got liquor after each vote, the man that cannot digest alcohol would be completely out of it.
Metabolize, not digest.
Yeah. Thank you. So, as of most scholars, believe the cooping thing. Yeah. And then the other one is alcohol that he drank himself, either through like wanting to drink himself or drinking with friends. That was just another theory. Another one.
What, I got my timeline screwed up. Is this following the week that he was not heard from?
That no one heard from him. And then he just showed up in a gutter.
Could have like gone on a bender.
He could have. But the thing that says it, the thing that counteracts that was one of his friends was J.P. Kennedy. And he said, on Tuesday last, Edgar Allan Poe died in town here at the hospital at the effects. Oh, nope. Sorry, that was the wrong quote. That was the wrong. Snodgrass, who was a member of the temperance movement, said that the doctor said that he did not smell any alcohol and that he didn't believe that he was acting under the influence of alcohol. However, Snodgrass also came back later and used Poe as an example of why the temperance movement was so important. Then he was saying that, oh yeah, Poe drank himself to death and this is why alcohol is bad.
So is there a possibility that he's being influenced by someone else to make decisions?
Possibly. No integrity there. Mm. And his death certificate is missing. Like, what the heck? Yeah.
Someone has it. Somebody has it in their house. It's their little, it's framed. And someone has it. They're just not going to say who.
It's like a hidden altar behind a hidden door. That's what I picture. By the telltale heart. Okay. Carbon monoxide poisoning. One of the reasons why they think that was because the coal gas that was used in the 19th century, if you breathe it, you could die from carbon monoxide poisoning. However, they took clippings of his hair and the test was inconclusive.
So much inconclusiveness.
Inconclusivity.
I like to make WUP words, so I like that one. I'll allow it.
You like to make WUP words?
WUP. I WUP to WUP up words.
All right. This goes along with carbon monoxide poisoning, but it's heavy metal poisoning. He listened to way too much Metallica back in the day.
I mean, that can be detrimental in and of itself.
Can you imagine being locked in a small room if you're getting cooped and you just have to listen to Metallica over and over and over and over and over again?
Especially like because, there's lyrics about Satan in there if you listen to it backwards.
Right, exactly. Metallica.
Ooh, Satanic Panic. That should be an episode. That should be a month. Let's do that. That's a month.
That actually could be a month.
We'll do that.
Okay. So they actually thought it might be mercury because there was mercury in Poe's blood when he died, but the levels were like 30.
Okay, there's mercury in everybody's blood back then.
Yeah, and so the levels were like 30 times below what they needed to be for mercury poisoning. So that dude was just shouting this out. This one I find valid, though. So there was a cardiologist. Oh, you should like this too. There was a cardiologist in 1996, R. Michael Benitez, and he was at a clinical pathologic conference of where they were just giving synopsises of this person had, sorry, I just hit my mic. This person had these symptoms and died. What do you think this person died from?
Ooh, I love that kind of stuff. I wanted, sorry, quick interjection. When I was in my master's program, there was a class, I think it was advanced pathology. And part of it is you had to do some hands-on. And so we had to go to the medical examiner's office. And there were two classes that you could take. One was gross anatomy and one was brain cutting. And brain cutting was, that was exactly what it was. You had the brains of the deceased individuals and you'd slice into them and just kind of look and say like, okay, here's normal atrophy. This is, different things that could affect the brain. But I had originally signed up for the gross anatomy class, which unfortunately kept getting postponed too often. So I was never able to do that. But that was exactly it. There would be an autopsy and sorry, this might gross you out. So trigger warning, there's dead people. I see dead people. You would take the organs and you'd weigh them and you would inspect the organs and you had to, like the person that was teaching the class knew what the cause of death was. But as the student, you had to determine gender, size, cause of death, any chronic diseases or anything else that was involved with this individual. And I was so excited to take that class and it never happened. So when is this conference again? I'll go attend.
Well, it was in 1996.
Oh, actually it was not that long ago. I thought this was like way back.
No, 1996 actually kind of was a long time ago. It was almost 25 years ago.
I don't believe that. That was like 2 years ago.
Okay. So anyways, the symptoms of anonymous patient EP, and he was described as a writer from Richmond, and they were clear to the cardiologist. He said that EP has succumbed to rabies. So they said that EP had been admitted to a hospital due to lethargy and confusion, and that once admitted, his condition began a rapid downward spiral, and shortly the patient was exhibiting delirium, visual hallucinations, wide variations in pulse, rate, and rapid, shallow breathing. Within 4 days, the median length of survival after the onset of serious rabies symptoms, he was dead.
That is really interesting. And actually, you didn't have to correct yourself. You said rapid, but rabbit, or you said rabid and corrected yourself to rapid. But truly, in this case, rabbit or rapid.
Yes. So the reason why this holds true is because there's never been a professional who has analyzed Poe's death without knowing what he was. So a lot of people who have an idea of who Poe was like to blame drugs or alcohol or like his lifestyle. And instead of saying that it was rabies. So that's why this guy holds up. And then another thing that they thought is that maybe Poe could have gotten bit by a rat when he was getting cooped. But they didn't find any teeth marks on him. But I mean, if you weren't looking for rabies, would you really look for teeth marks? You know? I don't know. This is a more recent theory that he had a brain tumor because Poe initially was buried in the back of a cemetery. And it's so sad. I think it was his brother and sister an uncle paid for a headstone. And this headstone was on a truck, like getting shipped to the gravesite, and it got hit by a train. So then the headstone, it got broken in half. So instead of it saying like anything about Poe, all it said was like number 80. And so once someone who cared, and there was only 3 people that showed up to his funeral. Like, I know, super sad. Like, oh gosh, there'd be millions of people that would show up now. And so they decided to move his body to the front of the cemetery, or like not even to the front of the cemetery, but put like a big, statue, like a monument, something for him. And so the first person they digged up was the wrong person because the records were so bad and he didn't have a headstone identifying who he was. So the second person they dug up, they found that there was something rolling around in his brain or in his skull. I mean, there was, who said it? I think it was one of the people that helped dig him up. There was something rolling around in his brain. It was a clump. And so back then they thought it was just his brain that had shriveled up and like was rolling around. But now they know there was a doctor that said, it might have been a brain tumor that calcified and actually was rolling around in his brain. And so they thought maybe the brain tumor could have led to his death. And actually, there was a New York physician that did tell Poe he had a lesion on his brain. So, I mean, that's a potential as well.
Well, that sounds like the most likely.
Okay.
Do you want
to say why?
Well, yeah, if there was a physician that already told him there was a lesion on his brain and then that was found, and that would make so much sense about his mental incapacity.
The problem is that mass that was inside of his head, people can't analyze it anymore. The grave diggers are the people that dug him out, said that it fell off his skull. So they're going off of the word of some grave diggers. I mean, it could have been a rock in there. Who knows? Like there was just, yeah. So that's a little hard to say. Yeah. They took really good care of his body. And they think that most of his body parts are buried underneath there. And then they actually buried Virginia under the monument with him so they could be together. So this is not this bad of one. They think maybe he had the flu and that it turned into pneumonia. So that was...
Get vaccinated.
Doop boop. And that night, I guess it was pretty cold in Baltimore in October that year. So they think maybe like the cold helped make the flu worse and led to pneumonia. But the last conspiratory idea of his death is that he was murdered. Oh, whoops. I skipped to this one. I totally skipped to this one. My bad. They think he was murdered by Sarah Shelton's brothers. So, yeah. So, sorry. I thought they just beat him up. But, yeah, people think that they murdered him. So, that's it. Oh, yeah. So, they said that he died of phrenitis, which that he was most likely suffering from encephalitis or meningitis. But also, they used phrenitis back in the day for when people died of alcohol-related deaths. So... it's just really hard to say. It's really hard to say how he died. It's very mysterious. He was gone for 7 days, shows up in a gutter and clothes not his own, and, dies 5 days later, and he's shouting out Ryan Reynolds' name. So there's that.
It could be, it could even be a compilation of some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm, definitely. But so, so there's actually some other parts that I want to cover, and then this is it. In regards to his obituary, so like, remember how I said that he had a lot of enemies and like they would write bad stuff back and forth. So there's this guy, and he said that Poe wrote him a letter pretty much saying that he wanted his nemesis to be like his agent for his writings. And so this guy's like, I'm going to write his obituary. And he starts off writing, it is so mean. He starts off writing, so the guy's name was Griswold. Like, Harry
Clark.
Potter. Oh, isn't Harry Potter have a Griswold too?
No, that's Grindelwald.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so anyways, the gist of it was on October 7th, Edgar Allan Poe died today. And then no one seems to care. And that he was a lush. Yeah. All those, it was really poetic. Like, all those that know death don't care. And that pretty much said that he was an alcoholic, he abused opium, and that he was just wandering on the streets at night, like just living this debauchery-filled life. And so the Griswolds put that in the newspaper, and then he also included it in one of the books that he published. So that opinion of Poe is the most widespread because everybody read it and they thought it was all true. And then they later found out that these letters from Poe to Griswold were fakes, and that Griswold faked them, and that Poe never asked him to do any of this. So the fact that Poe may be like this insane alcoholic, probably not true. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say, actually, so that wasn't the last thing. This is the last thing. So Poe's influence on literature was huge. He brought in the mystery genre. He also influenced 19th century French writers, and apparently French writers are the ones that brought about modern literature. So who knew that?
Well, at least they're claiming that.
I mean, you know how the French are.
Who else can we insult? Let's see. We did the Baptists, tuberculosis, the Baptists, the French, and the Canadians, but not really. It wasn't an insult to the Canadians. It was a well done by producing Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds.
And Canada.
So that is a brief synopsis of Edgar Allan Poe and his life. And I was going to go through all of his writings and everything he wrote, but I didn't.
A good idea, because there was a lot.
There's a lot. And if you're ever curious, just Google it.
Which one's your favorite?
Probably my favorite is the Telltale Heart.
What was the clock one?
The ticking.
Ticking.
Telltale Heart.
Is it?
Yeah.
Did you read that? No, you read The Raven.
Yeah, I read the beginning of The Raven. Quoth the Raven, nevermore.
That one's interesting too.
Well, what's fun is after I watched The Pale Blue Line, like I was reading some of his poetry and I was reading it in the voice of the actor, and it fit. I don't know if that is exactly how Poe talked back in the day of this actor in this movie, but like it almost made stuff, I don't know. It was a lot more entertaining. So,
and that was Christian Bale. That wasn't that, right?
He was not Poe. Whoever played Poe, that actor, he's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't know his name. I should know his name, but he did a great job. Mm. Yeah. So go get your poetry on for time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Send somebody a nice Telltale Heart poem for Valentine's Day.
Or a tuberculosis vial.
Yeah. Yes. Get them drunk.
Beat them. Put them in weird clothes.
Nothing says I love you like Cooping.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so that's cool. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you don't read Poe, at least check out The Raven. It's his, I think that's probably his. He only got paid $9 for that. Oh, I saw $9 and then I saw $15 for that.
And that one's super short. That's easy.
It's actually not super short.
Oh, it's not? The Raven?
Yes.
Oh, never mind.
It's pretty dang long. Do you still see me scrolling? Yeah, that's how long it is.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's like a 5-minute read, I guess.
Yeah, that's super short.
Well, I think like short, like 4 stanzas short.
Costanza.
George. All right. Anyways, B.
Serenity now. Okay.
B starts
to
with
be
you.
Or not to be?
Wrong. Poet. Author.
Was he really a poet?
I mean,
I guess he rhymed.
Criteria.
Welcome to Jessica and Ingrid's poet talk and the definition of who poets are.
I actually have a published poem.
Yes, you do, and it's in my basement.
Oh,
I kept it.
The book is
no,
or the plaque?
The plaque.
Oh, I had the book. It's probably in Mom's house somewhere.
Oh, eaten by rats. Let's bring it back to the rats.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. Probably. Yeah. Cool. Anyways.
Okay. It's rabid now.
All right.
Okay.
What do you have?
B. Ryan Reynolds.
Good. Very well. B. Vaccinated.
Ooh, good one.
Ooh, I'm gonna make people mad with that one.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what we do. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a snodgrass. Is that what you mean?
Don't be a schnozberry.
Don't be temperate.
One of my favorite things when listening back to these episodes is when I'm muted and I'm giving you like absolutely no like hint of
feedback.
If you're saying feedback. Thank you. That's the word. And you sit there and you say words like 3 times to yourself.
I prefer feedback.
Temperance. You did it in the Holocaust a couple of times. As sad as that episode was, I cracked up.
Thanks. Leaving your sister hanging. Don't be a
That's
snodgrass, Ingrid.
That's what older siblings do because we carried you your entire lives. It's time for you to stand out on your own.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
You're welcome, older siblings everywhere.
Younger siblings, let's unite and fight because we all know that's not true.
Unite and fight. Okay.
Well, have a great day.
Have a good life. I hope to see you next time around.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I muted myself instead of stop.
If you'd like to reach out to us or submit your situation, please contact us at anothersituationpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Another Situation Podcast. We're also on Facebook at Another Situation.
Another Situation is produced and edited by Point 5 Pinoy. Music is written and performed by Tim Crow.